Good morning, everyone. Yes, students, now we have discussed many topics with regard to Constitution. And today we are going to discuss a very, very important topic, fundamental rights. That what are fundamental rights and why they have been inserted in the Constitution? Now, fundamental rights are the basic requirement of every one of us. I will dictate you later on. Listen to me. Now, this is very essential. All these fundamental rights are very essential to develop the personality of each one of us to the fullest extent. Now, if there is no right to freedom, no right to equality, then certainly there will be, we have been hearing, might is the right will prevail. Now, these rights give guarantee to the citizens that they should develop their personality according to the manner, principle as they like, because they will be free to adopt any profession, to do any job, any occupation, any business, any trade, or they can settle anywhere throughout the territory of India. Now, these rights are right to equality, right to freedom, a right against exploitation, then a right to freedom of religion, then cultural and educational rights. Then the most important right is a right to constitutional remedy. Once upon a time, Dr. Ambedkar was asked that which is the article which is most important article. Then he referred to this Article 32. That Article 32 is the soul of the Constitution. It is heart of the Constitution. If it is missing, nothing is there. You can well imagine that without heart, what will be the position of a human being? Now that is the thing. Now these fundamental rights are very, very essential for each one of us. Now the question arises whether these fundamental rights can be taken away or can be abridged, infringed, or violated by legislative, by executive, or by the state legislative executives, or by any statutory authority. Now, Article 13 of Constitution lays down that neither executive nor parliament will make any law which will infringe the fundamental rights, which will violate the fundamental rights. And that law, in case they frame that law, it will be void one. It will be having no existence in the eyes of law. Then this Article 13 also declares that whatever law has been framed earlier, before the commencement of the Constitution, by earlier British government, they will also be void if they are inconsistent with this part of the Constitution. Now, Part 3 gives a guarantee to each one of us that each one of us is having all these fundamental rights. Now, there have been a large number of cases where the situation had arisen that how Parliament has tried to intervene these fundamental rights, to violate these fundamental rights, to take away these fundamental rights. There are many cases, and how the judiciary, it has put stall in a view of Article 32, because if any fundamental right is violated, Anybody can file a writ. We have discussed 5 writs. Any writ can be filed before the Supreme Court or before the High Court. Now it means the state government. We can say state mean parliament or it mean executive. They cannot frame any law. Now one question will arise that if they amend the constitution itself, whether that will also be a law, amendment of constitution will also be a law or not. This is very, very important point, which remain debatable earlier in the past, that whether amendment made by virtue of Article 368 will also be law. Now, if it is law, then we will say that it will also be void if it is violating, it is infringing the fundamental rights given in Part 3 of the Constitution. Now, if it is not law, if the amendment of the Constitution is not law, if we admit that Parliament is having a constituent power also to amend the Constitution. If we say that the amendment is not law, then certainly we can say that they can take away the fundamental rights. But if it is law, then it cannot take away the. No, it means even amendment cannot be made in fundamental rights if we are of the view that it is law. Now, this question is a very, very important question. Now, there are various authorities. Now, once upon a time, at the first time, when the Parliament has framed certain laws and 9th schedule was added in the Constitution, in which they have written that if the Parliament adds any act in this 9th schedule, no, that cannot be challenged before the Supreme Court on the ground that it violates the provisions of Part 3. Now, this question had arisen before Honorable Supreme Court. In some case, yes, in some case at the initial stage, no, it was first time Shankari Prasad. His spellings are wrong. You may write afterward. Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. 5 judges were there. Now, in this case, Honorable Supreme Court has held that amendment of the Constitution is not law. It means Supreme Court has put its stamp on the Parliament that they can amend the fundamental rights also. And now if the Parliament has amended some provisions of the Constitution, including this Part 3, then we will say that it is not law. Then it means the Parliament is competent. Now, in Shankari Prasad, at the first time, they have laid down that fundamental rights can also be amended because constituent power lies with the Parliament as per Article 368. Therefore, they can do that. Now, this question again arose in Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan. There were also 5 judges, and they also agree to the opinion made in Shankari Prasad's case. They also laid down that amendment is also not a law. Now, when Supreme Court itself is saying this thing, then certainly the rights, fundamental rights of the people will be affected. Now, Parliament, it started making amendments in this Part 3. adding something, that these rights will not be available to those, or these rights will not be available when the state government is doing particular work. And the case again was brought before the Supreme Court with the prayer that larger bench should be constituted where this point should be discussed again. Now, third time, it was Golaknath's case. I hope all of you are familiar with all these cases, but now you have to understand step by step that how it happened. Now, third time when Golaknath versus State of Punjab case was there before the Supreme Court, and there were 11 judges, and they have laid down that amendment is also law. Therefore, through amendment, they cannot amend the provisions of Part 3. Now, when Article 13 says that the Parliament cannot frame any law, then by applying Article 368, they cannot do something indirectly, which they cannot do directly by virtue of Article 13. Now, in this case, Honorable Supreme Court made it clear that Article 368 is providing simple procedure. It is not providing the power. It is not giving power to the Parliament to amend the Constitution, because Constitution was prepared by Constituent Assembly at one point of time. Therefore, if the Constitution is to be amended, Parliament is not entitled. Now, they have laid down that this Article 368 is simply providing the procedure, it does not provide the power. Now, they have made it clear that amendment is law. If some amendment in Constitution is made, that will be a law. And that will also be scrutinized by virtue of the provisions of Article 13. And the Supreme Court can declare that law to be violative of Part 3, and it can be declared to be void. When this judgment came, now the Parliament made some amendment in Article 13, and they have added clause 4, and they have made it clear that if the Parliament makes some amendment, then these provisions of Article 13 will not affect that power. Now, it means they have increased their power. Simultaneously, they have added clause 3 in Article 368 also. And they have amended this article in order to make it clear that Parliament is having power to amend the Constitution. Parliament can amend the Constitution. Therefore, Parliament is having full authority to change the fundamental rights also for the purpose of implementing the directive principles laid down in Article 39. Now, they have the Parliament here, in other words, they have diluted this authority of Golaknath. Now, the latest amendments were also challenged. Now, that is very important case, Keshwanand Bharti. I hope you have already remembered by heart Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala, where 13 judges were there. Now, they have taken this case again, and they have discussed at large whether amendment of the Constitution is a law or not. Now, they have held that amendment of the Constitution, if made by the Parliament, is not a law. Therefore, they can amend any portion of fundamental rights. Now, this was the case where Honorable Supreme Court made it clear that no doubt Parliament can amend any provisions of Constitution, but it cannot change the structure, basic framework of the Constitution. Now, this is the authority which is relating to basic structure. Sometimes this question is asked that basic structure or basic framework of the Constitution was laid down in which authority? Now, this was the authority in which it was laid down. Yes. Now, let us see, in fact, what is the basic structure of the Constitution? We have been hearing that basic structure or basic framework cannot be changed. Now, this Keshavanand's authority make it very clear that basic structure of the Constitution mean that supremacy of the Constitution must be there. Nobody is above law. Nobody is above Constitution. Parliament, they will remain within the Constitution, provisions of the Constitution. Now, executive, they will also do their work within the provisions of the Constitution. Even judiciary, it will not go beyond the provisions of this Constitution. It means Constitution is supreme in India, and other authorities, they are subordinate to the provisions of the Constitution. Then in Keshavanand Bharati's, it was held that no doubt Parliament can amend any provisions of Constitution, but they cannot change the form of government. They cannot say that we should adopt the presidential government. They cannot frame the presidential form of government. Now, therefore, democratic form of government or this parliamentary form of government cannot be changed. That is the part of the basic structure. Then they have laid down that secular character of this Constitution cannot be changed. Secular character, it will remain because Constitution is secular. We are having multiple religions, multiple classes for parliament, for executive, for judiciary. Each one of the member of the religion, any religion will be treated equally. There will be no inequality among them. Then they have laid down that separation of power is also part of the basic structure. And Parliament cannot change that. Parliament cannot give more power to the Parliament, to the President. No, separation of power must be there. Judiciary will not intervene in the functioning of the Parliament. Let the Parliament frame the law. Judiciary will not frame the law. Now, executive is to implement the law. No, judiciary will not intervene that. Let the executive. And judiciary, it is competent to decide. It is having one very important power of judicial review. Now, what is power of judicial review? You have to understand that also. Now, power of judicial review means if the Parliament or executive, they are passing any law, any ordinance, which is beyond the powers laid down in the Constitution, then it is subject to the scrutiny by the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court may declare that to be null and void. Now, when the Supreme Court is having power to declare any law, any act, any notification to be null and void, that is called as a judicial review, power of judicial review. Now, power of judicial review is always with the Supreme Court. It means Supreme Court is there to check whether these dignitaries, these authorities, Parliament or executive, they are doing their functions according to law, or they are going beyond, whether it is intra-virus or ultra-virus. Intra-virus mean whether it is within their power. Ultra-virus mean whether it is beyond their power. If it is beyond their power, the Supreme Court, it can declare that. Therefore, separation of power must be maintained. That is the part of the basic structure. Then they have laid down that federal character of our government cannot be changed by the parliament, because that is part and parcel of the basic structure. They cannot say that there will be only a union government. No, there will not be any state government. Our country, it must be divided appropriately into some states, into some parts. No doubt, formation of states can be done, just like J&K. It has been bifurcated into two parts, but there must be a federal character of our government. It cannot be changed. Then Article 21, right to life and liberty, it cannot be disturbed, because this is the basic law. This is the basic right which is required by each one of us. We are free. We are having full liberty. Our life is saved. Nobody can snatch that. Now, in our country, the fundamental rights are there that nobody can arrest you. Nobody can put some, nobody can encroach your liberty. You can go anywhere. You can do any job. Therefore, Article 21, it cannot be changed. It is the part of the basic structure. Now then, equality before law, it is also part of this basic structure. Independence of judiciary must be maintained. Recently, we discussed that National Judicial Appointment Commission, that how the judiciary, it struck down that on the ground that judiciary is independent. Let the judiciary function independently. You are nobody to intervene that. Now, this is most important authority on constitution, where multiple aspects were discussed, particularly basic structure. Now, it must be born in your mind that what is in fact basic structure. Now, fundamental rights, certain fundamental rights, they are basic structure. They are part and parcel of basic structure. They cannot be amended. Now, let us see, there are some other authorities also, that the matter did not end here. Now, later on, the question arose before Honorable Supreme Court, whether directive principles are more important or fundamental rights are more important. Whether fundamental rights should prevail upon the directive principles or directive principles should avail. The government had made changes that if the government wants to implement some directive principles laid down in Article 39, Clause B and C, then it can amend fundamental rights also. Because rights of a society or needs of society is more important than needs of individual if the situation arises. Now, both these articles are providing that our natural resources should be utilized in such a way that no one should become or should be enriched without doing any hard job. Now, therefore, whatever the resources are, it should be equally divided throughout the country among the societies. Now, this question had arisen whether fundamental rights should prevail upon directive principles or directive principle should prevail. Now, in this authority, Minerva Mills versus Union of India, spellings are wrong, make the correction later on. Now, in this authority, it was held that fundamental rights can be amended to implement the provisions of Article 39 B and C only, because the government was desiring that in order to implement any of the directive principles, it can amend the fundamental rights. It can snatch away the fundamental rights. But in this authority, they have made it clear that no doubt these articles 39, clause B and C, this is very, very important in order to implement directive principles contained in these clauses. The parliament can do that because this is very important. But for implementing other directive principles, they have rejected. They have held that all the provisions, all the laws made by the parliament with regard to implementing all other directive principles and thereby amending the provisions of Part 3 will be void. Now they have declared that to be void. Now then I have referred that Parliament, what the Parliament has done, it has created 9th schedule. It is adding acts in that 9th schedule, that these are the acts, large number of acts, that they cannot be challenged before the Supreme Court on the ground that they are violating the fundamental rights. Now, in this authority, this 9th schedule was discussed, and they have struck down this provision that no law is beyond the scrutiny of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court can scrutinize each and every law. Supreme Court is having judicial power, or having power of judicial review to declare any law which is violating the fundamental rights, or any law which is disturbing the basic structure and framework of that constitution. Now, in this authority, IR Cole, that they have laid down in clear words that every act is subject to the judicial review by Honorable Supreme Court. Yes, is there any other authority on this? All right. Well, yes, students, now this was the history of fundamental rights. Now, you might have formed the opinion in your mind that how the parliament is always trying to encroach your fundamental rights, and how the judiciary comes forward to protect your rights. Now, we can say here that Part 3 guarantees your fundamental rights in all fields, and you are entitled to develop your personality to the fullest extent, to chalk out your manners of life, what you want to do. Nobody will become so hindrance in that. All right, students. Now this was about fundamental rights.